Every single Sunday, without fail, Sister Victoria would arrive at church with a completely different hairstyle. I'm not talking about just changing from braids to a wig. No. I'm talking about intricate cornrows on Sunday, then flowing 24-inch Brazilian weave by Wednesday Bible study, then a sophisticated bun by Friday prayer meeting, then loose curls cascading down her back by Sunday again. The styles were always flawless, always perfectly done, as if she had just walked out of the most expensive salon in Victoria Island. The women in the church couldn't help but notice. They would whisper among themselves in the bathroom, in the parking lot, anywhere Sister Victoria couldn't hear them. How does she do it? Does she have a personal hairdresser living in her house? How much money does she spend on her hair every week? The questions multiplied, but nobody had answers. Sister Victoria would simply smile, that serene, pastoral smile, whenever anyone complimented her hair, and say something vague like, "Oh, thank you. I just try to present myself well for the Lord." But that explanation didn't satisfy anyone, especially not the women who spent hours and small fortunes at the salon. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button right now. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the end of this one. 3 women in particular became obsessed with solving this mystery. There was Sister Blessing, the choir director, a sharp-eyed woman who noticed everything. There was Sister Joy, who ran the Women's Fellowship and considered herself Sister Victoria's unofficial right hand. And there was Sister Grace, who worked as the church secretary and had access to Pastor Emmanuel's schedule. These 3 women had been serving in the church together for years, and they shared everything, including their growing suspicion that something about Sister Victoria's hair situation didn't add up. One evening after choir practice, Sister Blessing gathered the other 2 in the empty church office. "Listen," she said, her voice low and urgent. "I've been keeping track. In the last month alone, Sister Victoria has had 14 different hairstyles. 14! Do you know how long it takes to install braids? To take them out? To bleach and tone hair for that platinum blonde she wore last Sunday? It's physically impossible unless she has a team of hairdressers working on her around the clock." Sister Joy nodded slowly, her face troubled. "I've been thinking the same thing. And have you noticed that nobody has ever seen her getting her hair done? I know every good hairdresser in this area. I've asked around. None of them have ever worked on Sister Victoria's hair." Sister Grace leaned forward, her eyes wide. "There's something else. Sometimes I arrive at the church office very early, around 5 in the morning, to prepare for the day. Twice now I've seen Sister Victoria's car already in the parking lot. When I see her later that morning, her entire hairstyle has changed from what I saw when she arrived. How does she change her hair in the church building? There's no salon here. Can you imagine living with this kind of mystery? Drop a comment if you've ever encountered something that just didn't make sense in your church." The 3 women decided they needed to investigate further, but they had to be careful. You couldn't just accuse the pastor's wife of anything without solid evidence. Sister Blessing came up with a plan. The church was hosting a 3-day revival, which meant Sister Victoria would be at the church building from morning to night for 3 consecutive days. If they observed her closely during that time, surely they would catch her either going to a salon or see some evidence of how she was managing these constant transformations. The first day of the revival arrived, and Sister Victoria showed up with an elaborate updo adorned with golden accessories. The 3 women watched her like hawks. Between services, Sister Victoria would disappear into the pastor's private office, which was connected to a small rest area with a bathroom and a couch. She would be gone for maybe 30 to 40 minutes. When she emerged for the evening service, her hair would be completely different, perhaps loose waves instead of the updo, or a sleek ponytail instead of curls. The women were baffled. Was she doing her own hair in that small bathroom? It seemed impossible. On the second night of the revival, Sister Grace made a bold decision. She told the others, "I'm going to stay behind after the service ends. I'll hide in the church and watch the pastor's office. If Sister Victoria is doing something in there, I'm going to find out what it is." Sister Blessing and Sister Joy tried to talk her out of it, warning that she could get in serious trouble for spying on the pastor's wife. But Sister Grace was determined. That night, after the congregation left, and the lights were turned off in the main sanctuary, Sister Grace hid in a storage closet with a view of the hallway leading to the pastor's office. She waited for what felt like hours. Around midnight, she saw a light turn on in the office. Her heart began to pound. She crept closer, moving silently down the dark hallway until she was right outside the office door, which had been left slightly open. What Sister Grace saw through that crack in the door would haunt her for the rest of her life. If you're still watching, type Amen in the comments, because you need to hear what happened next. Sister Victoria was sitting in a chair in the middle of the room, facing away from the door. But something was terribly wrong with the scene. Sister Grace's eyes struggled to make sense of what she was seeing in the dim light. And then, with horror that made her legs go weak, she understood. Sister Victoria's head was not attached to her body. It was sitting on the desk in front of her, propped up on a small stand, while her hands worked on braiding the hair on that detached head as casually as if she were knitting a scarf. The head's eyes were closed, peaceful, while the body's movements were precise and practiced. Sister Grace wanted to scream, but no sound would come out of her throat. She stood frozen, unable to move, unable to look away, as she watched Sister Victoria complete an intricate cornrow pattern on her own detached head. When the braiding was finished, the body reached over, lifted the head gently, and placed it back onto the neck. There was a soft sound, like a bottle being opened and closed, and suddenly Sister Victoria was whole again. She tilted her head from side to side, examining her new hairstyle in a small mirror, then smiled with satisfaction. Sister Grace didn't remember how she got out of that building. The next thing she knew, she was sitting in her car in the parking lot, shaking violently, her hands gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles were white. She grabbed her phone and called Sister Blessing, her words tumbling out in a panicked rush. "You won't believe what I just saw. You won't believe it. Sister Victoria, she takes her head off. She styles her own hair by taking her head off her body. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it." There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Then Sister Blessing's voice came through, shaky and uncertain. "Sister Grace, are you feeling all right? Maybe you were tired and fell asleep and had a nightmare." But Sister Grace insisted. She begged them to believe her. The next morning she met with Sister Blessing and Sister Joy at a restaurant far from the church. She described everything she had seen in excruciating detail, the way the head sat on the stand, the way the hands moved independently, the sound when the head was reattached. The two women listened with growing horror. They wanted to dismiss it as impossible, as a hallucination, but Sister Grace was the most level-headed person they knew. She wasn't prone to fantasy or exaggeration. If she said she saw something, she saw something. "What do we do?" Sister Joy whispered, her face pale. "How do we go back to that church knowing this? How do we look at Sister Victoria the same way?" Sister Blessing was quiet for a long moment, then said, "We need to talk to her, directly. We can't go around spreading this story, it sounds too crazy. But we also can't just pretend we don't know. We need answers. This testimony is blessing you, isn't it? Please share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because what happens next will shock you." The three women spent the next week in agonizing indecision. How do you approach someone about something like this? Finally, they requested a private meeting with Sister Victoria, telling her they needed spiritual guidance on a sensitive matter. Sister Victoria, ever gracious, invited them to her home on a Saturday afternoon. The house was beautiful, exactly what you'd expect for a successful pastor's family, with gospel music playing softly in the background and the smell of freshly baked banana bread wafting from the kitchen. Sister Victoria served them tea and smiled warmly. "Now, what's this sensitive matter you wanted to discuss?" The three women exchanged glances. Sister Grace, who had seen it with her own eyes, took a deep breath and spoke. "Sister Victoria, we need to ask you something. And please understand we're coming from a place of concern, not judgment. We've noticed that you change your hairstyle very frequently, in ways that don't seem physically possible. And recently one of us witnessed something that we cannot explain or understand. Sister Victoria's smile didn't fade, but something shifted in her eyes. She set down her teacup carefully. I see. And what exactly did you witness? Sister Grace's voice trembled as she spoke. I saw you in the pastor's office late at night. I saw your head separated from your body. I saw you braiding your own hair while you were in two pieces. The room fell into a terrible silence. Sister Victoria didn't deny it. She didn't laugh it off or call them crazy. Instead, she simply nodded slowly, her expression becoming somber. So, now you know, she said quietly. I had hoped to keep this private forever, but I suppose secrets have a way of revealing themselves. She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at her well-manicured garden. I was born with this ability. It's been in my family for generations, passed down through the women on my mother's side. We can detach our heads from our bodies. It causes no pain, no harm. It's simply something we can do. I've used it my entire life to style my hair easily, to reach places I couldn't otherwise reach, to see things from different angles. It's a gift, though most people would call it something else. The three women sat in stunned silence. Sister Joy finally found her voice. Does Pastor Emmanuel know? Sister Victoria turned back to face them, and for the first time, they saw tears in her eyes. No, he doesn't know. I've been married to him for 15 years, and I've never told him. How do you tell your husband, a man of God, that you can do something that sounds like it came from a horror film? How do you risk everything you've built together? I love him. I love this church. I love the life God has blessed me with. This ability, it's just something I was born with. I've never used it for evil, never hurt anyone with it. I just wanted to feel beautiful, to present myself well, without spending hours and hours in a salon. Have you ever felt like you had to hide something about yourself? This story cuts deep. Sister Blessing spoke carefully, her voice gentle but firm. Sister Victoria, with all due respect, this is something your husband should know. Marriage is built on trust and honesty. Keeping a secret this big, it's not right, no matter how innocent your intentions are. Sister Victoria collapsed back into her chair, her composure finally cracking. I know, I've known for years that I should tell him. But I'm terrified. What if he leaves me? What if he thinks I'm a demon or a witch? What if the church finds out and everything we've built crumbles? The three women looked at each other, then at Sister Victoria. Despite the shocking nature of what they'd learned, they felt compassion for her. She wasn't a monster. She was just a woman who had been born with something extraordinary and had spent her whole life afraid of being rejected because of it. Sister Grace reached over and took Sister Victoria's hand. We're not going to tell anyone, but you need to tell Pastor Emmanuel. He deserves to know who he's really married to, and if he truly loves you the way we all believe he does, he'll accept you, gift and all. But if you continue hiding this, and he finds out some other way, the betrayal will be so much worse. Sister Victoria nodded, tears streaming down her face. You're right. I know you're right. I'll tell him. Tonight. That evening, after the three women had left, Sister Victoria prepared dinner for her husband. They ate together, talking about the revival, about church matters, about ordinary things. After the meal, as they sat in the living room, Sister Victoria turned off the television and turned to face her husband. Emmanuel, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago. Pastor Emmanuel looked at his wife with concern. What is it, my love? You can tell me anything. And so Sister Victoria told him everything. She explained about the ability that ran in her family, about how she had hidden it their entire marriage, about how she had been using it to style her hair. She expected shock, anger, maybe even fear. What she got instead made her weep with relief. Pastor Emmanuel sat quietly throughout her confession. When she finished, he reached over and pulled her into his arms. Victoria, I've known you for 17 years. I knew something was different about you from the day we met. I've watched you, loved you, built a life with you. This ability you have, it doesn't change who you are. You're still the woman I fell in love with. You're still my wife, my partner in ministry. Yes, I wish you had told me sooner. Yes, we need to pray about this and seek God's guidance on what it means. But I'm not leaving you. I'm not afraid of you. I love you. If this testimony is touching your heart, type Amen below. This is what real love looks like. The next Sunday, something unexpected happened. Sister Victoria arrived at church with a simple, natural hairstyle, her own hair, unextended, unstyled, just pulled back into a modest bun. She looked different, somehow lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She and Pastor Emmanuel had spent the week in prayer and discussion. They had decided together that Sister Victoria would stop using her ability so frequently. It wasn't about shame or hiding who she was anymore. It was about humility, about not letting vanity, even innocent vanity, become more important than authenticity. The three women who knew her secret, Sister Blessing, Sister Joy, and Sister Grace, watched her with new eyes. They had helped her find the courage to be honest with her husband, and in doing so, they had witnessed something beautiful, a marriage strengthened by truth rather than destroyed by it. Sister Victoria pulled them aside after service. "Thank you," she said simply. "Thank you for caring enough about me to tell me the truth I needed to hear. I was so busy protecting my secret that I was destroying my marriage from the inside. You saved me from that." Over the following months, the women in the church noticed that Sister Victoria's hair didn't change as dramatically or as frequently anymore. Some were disappointed they had enjoyed the fashion show. Others were relieved she seemed more relatable now. But none of them except those three women knew the real story behind the change. Sister Victoria had made peace with her gift. She and Pastor Emmanuel had prayed about it extensively, seeking spiritual guidance. They concluded that the ability itself wasn't evil, it was simply unusual. God had created her this way for reasons they might never fully understand. But they also agreed that she had been using it excessively, allowing pride in her appearance to take up too much space in her heart. She still had the ability. She could still detach her head if she chose to. But now she used it rarely, and always with prayer and her husband's knowledge. The secret that had once isolated her had become something she could share with the one person who mattered most. Her marriage grew stronger. Her ministry deepened. She became more focused on serving others rather than maintaining an image of perfection. And the three women who had discovered her secret? They learned an invaluable lesson about the difference between gossip and genuine concern, about the importance of approaching people with grace rather than judgment. Would you have done the same thing? Let me know in the comments what you would have done in their position. This is the lesson that Drama Goes to Church wants to leave with you today. We all have secrets, things about ourselves that we're afraid to reveal because we fear rejection. Maybe your secret isn't as dramatic as Sister Victoria's. Maybe it's a past mistake, a hidden struggle, a part of your personality you've learned to suppress. But living in fear of being truly known is a prison. Sister Victoria spent 15 years of her marriage terrified that her husband would reject the real her. Those 15 years could have been so much richer, so much deeper, if she had trusted him with the truth from the beginning. God doesn't make mistakes. Whatever makes you different, whatever you're hiding, it's part of how you were created. The question isn't whether you're acceptable. The question is whether you have the courage to be authentic. Pastor Emmanuel could have reacted with fear or anger when his wife revealed her secret. Instead, he chose love. He chose to see beyond the shocking revelation to the woman he had always known and loved. That's the kind of love we should all strive for in our relationships. Love that doesn't demand perfection. Love that can handle the truth. Love that says, I see all of you, and I'm still here. The three women, Sister Blessing, Sister Joy, and Sister Grace, could have spread this story all over the church. They could have destroyed Sister Victoria's reputation and her husband's ministry. Instead, they chose compassion. They approached her privately, gave her the truth she needed to hear, and protected her dignity. That's the kind of friendship we all need. Friends who care more about our growth than about having a sensational story to tell. Now, if this story has blessed you, challenged you, or made you think differently about the secrets we all carry, please subscribe and share with someone you love. And I'll see you in the next one.